You're watching The Mom View, sponsored by the Herzog Foundation. It may be hard to believe, but all over the country, good parents are losing custody of their children for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's a medical misdiagnosis, a vague accusation, a disagreement with a teacher or a doctor, or the refusal to affirm a child who wants to change genders. Well, today, first-person accounts on how the court system, the mental health system, social workers, teachers, and the government are working against parents to remove them from their loving homes, all in the name of child protection. Stay with us. Hi, moms, and welcome to the Mom View. I'm Debbie Krolitis.
I'm Kimberly Fletcher.
And I'm Vanessa Fora.
And we are delighted to have you joining us here on the couch. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Another incredible topic. I mean, we've had quite a balance between some things that are a little bit lighter, some things that are a little bit heavier. But today we're another show actually on Child Protective Services. And a little bit of a different story because this is kind of two personal stories.
Right.
But again, this is a problem all across America where moms are terrified that if they don't agree or disagree, or like you said, somebody reports you, you could lose your child to the government system, and it is horrific.
Well, I think the whole point of us doing these shows is to sound the alarm,
right?
But also to give moms some, I don't know, encouragement, solutions, direction on how to protect their children, especially if that knock comes at their door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to give in to the social pressures, right? Because we're seeing more and more of this happening in the country. And as parents, we want to make sure that we're staying loving and also understanding with our children. But when it comes to situations like these, it's like, I love my child and I want the best for him or her. But we also have to understand that love, it's mainly saying no to what we know it's not right.
Yeah,
like her is not him.
Right. And I think no parent, and we'll talk with parents today, no parent ever thinks this is going to happen to them, right? All of a sudden now you're unsafe, or you're a terrible parent, we're going to take the child away from you. Someone report. No one ever thinks something like this is going to happen to them. It's somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. But I think from the first show, when we talked about this, I think we set the case that you're not exempt when 1 out of 10 kids are taken from their parents. And now that this whole transgender movement has happened, I mean, C.P.S. has been incentivized and weaponized to a degree that is incomprehensible.
Yeah. Incredible. All right, well, coming up, a loving mom in a close relationship with her 12-year-old daughter is told that suddenly she is unsafe. A difficult battle for custody follows. We'll be right back with Jeannette Cooper's story. Stay with us.
The Herzog Foundation exists to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education so that families and culture flourish. To do so, we've created comprehensive programs designed for Christian schools across the nation. One of those programs is found at readlion.com. The Lion carries news articles covering issues especially related to the education of children. These are timely, critical, must-read articles for families, educators, and leaders. Another program is the Herzog Foundation Institute, where we provide training for Christian educators led by national thought leaders in subjects such as marketing, donor development, and culture building. All training events are fully funded by the Herzog Foundation. And finally, with new Christian schools popping up all over the country, we've created a free online resource to help with the process. HF Schoolbox provides lessons and free mentorship to help launch groups navigate the startup process every step of the way. We're the Herzog Foundation. You can find out more at herzogfoundation.com.
There is power in being a mom because we truly care. Nobody's going to care more about your children than you. And that's what this group is about, is real women getting together to fight real battles for our country.
Moms for America is a national movement of moms reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution.
And I will tell you, I'm a journalist, but I am a mama bear. And I am a mama bear till the last breath in my body. And that's the most important thing I've ever done with my life.
Never, never underestimate the mother who's protecting her child. She will outfight fear. She will outlast danger. And she will outlove the world. And you surely do not mess with Mama Bear.
You can't push anything on our kids. We will stand up for our kids no matter what the consequences may be.
Moms for America is one of the most important organizations in saving our republic.
There are eyes, there are ears, and they're the most fierce fighters for our kids that we will ever know.
Every mission has two parts, those who give and those who do. And when we come together, we are stronger together in fulfilling that mission. An investment in Moms for America is an investment in the future. And we literally hold the future of America in our hands.
People who are in prison have more rights to their children than Jeannette Cooper. She lost total custody and access to her 12-year-old daughter, Sophia, in 2019, simply because she would not affirm that Sophia was trans. For Jeannette, it was the beginning of a nightmare that has not ended. It's a hard lead into this story, but welcome, Jeannette, to the Mom View. We're glad to have you.
Jeannette.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Oddly, I enjoy talking about this because, as you were talking about a little bit in the intro, it's really important to tell people that they're not alone. Moms, that they're not alone. Parents, that they're not alone, that they are not the only ones that this is happening to. So I can talk about this issue because I don't want other people to feel the way that I felt when it happened to me.
Yeah, it was shocking. Can you tell us what happened? All of a sudden, you were deemed unsafe by a child. There was no problems, there was no abuse, there was nothing except you were not going to let a child make decisions for herself, you as the parent. So give us a quick introduction to your situation.
Yeah, it is kind of an odd situation, I think, in terms of my child not wanting to change anything about her body. My daughter never wanted any sort of hormones or surgeries. She never had kind of a self-hatred about her body at all. I suppose that it was more of kind of the whole social environment, maybe school, maybe the internet, all of those things kind of come together and coalesce with my daughter, who felt like she could make decisions on her own. I think as moms, we want our children to become more and more kind of independent over time. And so we teach them things, you know, you're capable of doing this, you can do this, and you want self-confidence in your kids. Not so much that they feel like they can make actual decisions on who they live with. You would think that some mechanism in the adult world would stop them from that. But my daughter, I had her after I got divorced from her father. 4 years before this, so when she was 8, she would go to her dad's on Friday nights and then for a few hours on Tuesday evenings, and the rest of the time I had her. I homeschooled her for years. I hired teachers, I had them teach her, and I really structured the curriculum. And she was amazingly intelligent in so many different ways. She certainly had a different social experience than others. She was able to interact with adults in ways that a lot of homeschool kids can, when parents are involving them in kind of intergenerational, multi-generational experiences. And I'm not sure how she latched onto this.
Right.
I honestly believe that she just thought it would be cool to have a different name and cool pronouns. And then she scripted an email to her school to say that I was unsafe and she would now be living with her dad. She went to her dad's house for a regular visit for 3 hours. I went to go get her, and he said no.
And then it all began.
And then I was honestly, truly confused. I hadn't received any information about why, except for an email came the next day. Mom, it was kind of a scripted email. Mom, I want to be a boy. I don't think you're safe. I don't feel, safe at home. A scripted email, meaning we know now that if you go on, the internet and you ask them to write an email, they will write that script for you.
Right.
We know that every kid is kind of using the same thing.
ChatGPT, for instance.
Yeah, they're getting it from either therapists or other kids or something.
How old was she when this happened?
She was just about to turn 13, maybe a month away from 13. And I never got her back.
I'm sorry, you never got her back?
I never got her back. I went on an emergency petition to family court to say return of custody. I mean, I had her all but 24 hours in a week. There was no indication from school counselors, teachers, no one had ever said anything.
That you were unsafe.
Yeah, nothing.
Right.
No, there's nothing, there's no documentation of any of that. But I did teach my child how to write in a way that adults hear them. So when a 12-year-old writes an email that sounds a heck of a lot like an adult, you think, wow, that kid really knows what's going on. They're really mature. But the child's still 12, right? No matter how much a child can explain themselves, their brain is still only 12 or 13 years old.
Absolutely.
Right? So they're not more mature. But no, family court, the attorneys went into closed chambers, and my report from that was the child has previously had depression and suicidal ideation, and mom doesn't accept. And my attorney said, no, mom never said that she did not accept. She never said anything. You're interpreting that. That's not true. Well, we'll just keep the child with dad until we investigate.
There it goes.
And that first temporary order became my permanent life. I've seen her for, she's 19, she'll be going to be 20 this year. I've seen her for maybe 15 hours.
So she was almost 13 years old. Yeah. Any signs leading up to this this stage in her life that you may have caught, or because mothers, we have that gut feeling that something.
Oh yeah,
there's something happening. Warning signs.
I know what you're talking about. Okay, so when your kid cleans their room and does all kinds of nice stuff and says, "Hey mom, do you need me to do this?" and you're thinking, why are you saying this? Why are you being so nice to me? Something's up. Something's up. I'm not pestering you to do things. So for about a month, I felt like I knew something was different. I just couldn't put my finger on it. Now I know that her stepmom, who's a family counselor, was helping her to slowly move things out of our home and move them into her dad's and stepmom's home. Yeah. Because now I can see all the text messages between them.
So did the court give permanent custody to your husband?
Yeah, so it was a 2.5 years, and it was time, but it was also money. I mean, there are parents who contact me and say, if I just had more money, I would still have my child. And I say, I spent $150,000, and money is not the thing that will get you your child. Right. Because family court is off of this thing called best interests of the child, which is completely subjective to either the judge, but mostly the guardian ad litem or the child representative determines what is in your child's best interest. We all know that what's in our child's best interest is determined by parents, right? Because this is America, and we can decide what is best for our children, barring actual abuse.
And I think you were right at the moment where this was all breaking loose. If you're not affirming, you're a terrible parent. In fact, in your video, you have President Joe Biden basically saying the same thing, affirm your children. You were right in the heat of all that. It's continuing, but I mean, now this continues even today. If you're not affirming, you're not a loving parent, and you were a loving parent. You still are a loving parent.
No, I still think that. And I don't think there are many, I mean, just a tiny fraction of parents who are actually purposefully doing something harmful to their children. Every mom is trying to do their best. They truly are. I think that even if you're looking at that mom going, I don't know, that's maybe the best course, the mom still thinks that what you're doing is the best thing to raise a child who can then become an independent, productive citizen in the world. So I believed I was doing that. Of course, after that happened, I questioned every single thing I did since I gave birth, right? You look at yourself and think,
right,
what did I do? Where did I mess up? But you cannot, and nor should you, try to shelter and control the entire environment of your child. You can't do that. You just have to prepare them for the road. And I thought I had done that. But there is a massive ideology out there that we cannot really get a handle on. And now we're finally starting to. I think there are moms who have come together. We founded an organization called Partners for Ethical Care. We're all mothers, and we have been fighting the gender industry for a while. I have personally testified in about half of the states where we are protecting children from kind of gender mutilation through hormones and surgeries. And I'm proud of that work. But the only reason I could do it is because my child was gone.
And she was homeschooled.
Right.
So she was
that's
gone.
a very big point, because if you would have really taken this with her in the house, they would have continued to destroy you as a parent. But since she was out, you had the freedom to, which was the sad part of this.
It is sad. It is sad.
Yeah, I was going to say she was homeschooled. So did social media play a part in all of this? How did that work? Because sometimes, a lot of the times it's because of the friends being in school and having that engagement outside of the house. So being a homeschooler, how did that all come about? What do you think?
I mean, children are smart, all right? They figure out how to get around all kinds of things.
Master
and I think,
manipulators.
Yeah,
they see a crack.
They're just trying to solve a problem. I'm not thinking that they're actually wanting to do something bad. I think that they're trying to get something that they want, and that's why you kind of have to have these firm boundaries and be able to say no, as you were saying, be able to say no, you can't do that. It is very challenging in a co-parenting environment that many of us live in to not have a child problem solve that by saying, let me go with the parent that I can get away with the most. Right? I mean, that's so easy. It's so easy to do. It is the solution to especially a teen's problems. Let me go somewhere where nobody's going to ask me what I'm doing. Nobody's going to pay attention to what I'm looking at on the computer. They'll give me a phone. They're not going to look at what's on there. I can figure that out anyway.
Right. They're not hard parenting.
Yeah, they think I'm a good girl. They think I'm a nice kid, and they are nice kids. But that doesn't mean they're not curious and interested in all kinds of things that they really should not be exposed to, that they cannot handle.
What bothers me is that they didn't switch the main parent and give shared custody. They just took all custody away. And I mean, were you able to see your daughter at all?
I couldn't even see her that day.
So you could just,
for 8 years, you didn't see your daughter?
You could do letters?
I was allowed, when it came down to the final agreement, and even over time, I was allowed to do family therapy with a third party, which we all
Family therapy for what?
Right, family therapy so that we could communicate better and I could understand what my daughter was feeling and thinking. I think I know.
Her dad had to be present during that family therapy, or it was just you and her and a third?
It was just me and her, but I was forced to consent to her stepmother being part of that processing, being able to access all of the sessions and be able to ask about notes. Correct. So I said, I don't feel comfortable doing this. I don't want to consent to this. I really don't want to sign this because it's really, we're talking about me and my daughter. And the therapist said, if you don't consent to this, you're not going to see her.
You were able to do letters to her, was that it?
Yeah, so I said, okay, they wanted to give me no communication at all. I don't have her phone number today. I have her address, and that's what I'm allowed to have.
How old is she now?
She's 19. She'll be 20 in August. So I have no communication, and you create all kinds of assumptions in your head as a child, but also as adults, we know this. If we don't have information to kind of counteract the things that we're imagining,
that's what I'm thinking.
Then you end up with stories in your mind that are not based in reality.
Well, it makes me wonder what else. I mean, if they were going to affirm whatever she decided to be, what else were they teaching and nurturing in her life during those formidable years that you had no influence over whatsoever?
Yeah, I mean, at 12 or 13, I feel like I gave her a good foundation, so I do have some, I suppose, pride in that, a sense of social responsibility to others, good manners, good writing, good math skills, things like that. I really think that at 12, she probably thought somebody was going to tell her where the limit was. That somebody at some point
parent,
would,
yes.
would seek, the boundary, the limit, this is not okay. There's some good feeling that you get when somebody tells you where the road stops and where we feel good if we're on a road that has actual
We
lines
go to the
on it
bank, we look for the line. We go to the theme park, we look for the
like
line.
structure. There's
Yes.
something very nice about knowing that the world is organized, and nobody stopped her. I think I don't know. I can imagine at 12 you might panic a little bit, like, who's in charge around here?
Right.
I'm allowed to do whatever I want. Who's helping me here?
That's such a crazy age, too. We all know that they're targeting these girls at this age, right? When all their womanhood starts pouring in and they just have no idea. And it's the most fragile time. And it's really when everybody should stay out of everybody's business because you got to work all that out at home. Do you think C.P.S. should be dissolved or do you think it should be reformed? What are your thoughts on C.P.S. now that you've been through it?
Right, and mine wasn't through Child Protective Services. I mean, the family court, I actually asked for a Child Protective Services, what is called DCFS in Illinois. I asked for an investigation. Investigate me. Come on, please. Like, look at everything. And they said there's no cause. There's no cause for you to be investigated.
Just the family court.
Yeah, there's no cause.
Lost your child.
But I lost my child, right? So I said, you're not making sense. But in family court, they honestly, truly can get you to agree. And many people say, well, I would never agree to that. You have never been in family court. Then.
Right.
You have never been in family court if you would say, I would never agree, because
it's your child.
That you will
do anything
lots
for your
of things,
child.
and you'll say, okay, but they keep turning the heat up, boiling the frog. You say, okay, that's okay. I can use the name and pronoun. Sure, that's not a big deal. I can do this other thing. Sure, she can use the name at school, I guess. I mean, I can't really say no, because if I say no, you're going to take away something else from me. So, okay, she can do that. But what is crazy is my daughter never changed her appearance. I mean,
she just wanted a different name.
Yeah, and that's cool and fun. Except for now, this is actually her name. I mean, there is no traceability to her original birth name to what her name is today, because now you can change your name outside of the regular system where you publish it.
So she legally changed the name before she was 18 or
yes,
recently?
There was a hearing and I lost.
Oh my goodness.
It was a hearing and I lost.
And I think to your point too, and Dr. Grossman and actually everyone in this arena that's fighting to keep children who they are, they say the first is the name affirmation. And that if you do that, I think you as a parent is so righteous because you stopped it at the front and I think you protected her all the way around, because who would have known if everybody would come along and celebrate about the all the drugs and the mutilation, and she could really be so destroyed now.
Yeah, but the psychological and social separation from your parent, we know is damaging. In the foster care system, we make sure that children have connection with their biological parents. That's a primary thing in the foster care system, and somehow it's not for me.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. They've done damage to my daughter, and I feel for her. She was 12. She was probably hoping that somebody would give her some direction, and instead she looks around and thinks, where are the adults?
Well, she's an adult now, so
she is an adult now.
So is there any relationship at all there? She just completely distant?
She stopped by our house, my house with my husband and I, and he has 2 daughters. She stopped by about a year ago, the 31st of December in 2024. She was there for maybe 30 plus minutes, and we chatted, and it was a fine, pleasant conversation. And I said, stop by sometime or give me a call, because I don't know her phone number, and let me know. I'd love to get together, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it. Yeah, and I feel for her. It's got to be a difficult.
She's lost.
Yeah, but now I have to say, you're coming on 20.
Right.
Eventually it's going to
probably
click.
time. It's probably time to get over that hump and just give a call, or send a message, and let's just get over this little period.
The good thing is you had that foundation, and
Yes, you sure
I just
did.
go back to the Bible, whatever the foundation that you lay,
Raise
eventually
them
they'll
up
come back,
in the way that they should go. Yeah.
no matter where they go.
And I'm not thinking so much as, you know, come back in a way that I view her as a child.
Right.
But let's have a normal connection with each other, because the connection with your parents, whether or not you have or don't have a relationship for whatever reason in your life, that feeling is always going to be there, and you want it to be a good one. You want that feeling to be a pleasant, warm feeling, even if you're looking at a parent who could not possibly parent you for drugs, alcohol, addiction, some other reason they are not capable of parenting you. You still want to say, you know, that parent did the best that they could. I feel for them. I'm compassionate toward that person. They had a rough, you know, moment in their lives. And I hope that they're doing well, and I want to have some positive experiences.
Well, at some point in time, she's going to be a mother.
Yeah.
And she's going to have children, and I have a feeling you're going to get a phone call.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, I try to tell other parents, because I run a huge parent group of over 4,000 parents who are kind of trying to find their way, and we recognize the authority of all of those parents. We're going to give you ideas in this group, and you're going to make a decision that's best for your family.
Right.
And I tell other parents that I am not holding a space for my daughter at the table. There's no empty place that is sitting there every night that I stare at that looks like a hole. But if she knocks on the door, we're going to find a chair.
Absolutely.
And we're going to, you know, wrangle up a plate and something there. We're going to create that space because everybody is welcome, including her.
You still love her. You're still waiting for open arms when she comes, like every mother would be. What's the name of the organization, and what's the website again, please?
Partners for Ethical Care, and it's partnersforethicalcare.com. That's our main organization. We have a project that we're working with detransitioners who are suing their doctors, thank goodness. And there's a lot of successful kind of lawsuits moving forward, and that's transitionjustice.org.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
For sharing your story.
Thanks for having
we're
me.
praying for your daughter too, because all of us as moms, we want everyone to be reunited. But thank you for being such a warrior. So appreciate that.
Of course, thank you.
All right, well, right after this break, a social worker goes undercover and discovers why so many good parents are being labeled as abusers. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Josh Mann, Managing Editor of The Lion. The Lion is an initiative of the Herzog Foundation, and we publish articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. In covering these topics, we also touch on aspects of parenting, family life, faith, government, and other relevant cultural topics. We publish news stories every day aiming to produce timely, critical, must-read news articles and resources for families, educators, and leaders. Read the latest in education and cultural news at readlion.com. We also offer easy-to-digest daily and weekly email newsletters. Subscribe today at readlion.com/subscribe.
There is power in being a mom because we truly care. Nobody's going to care more about your children than you. And that's what this group is about, is real women getting together to fight real battles for our country.
Moms for America is a national movement of moms reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution.
And I will tell you, I'm a journalist, but I am a mama bear. And I am a mama bear till the last breath in my body. And that's the most important thing I've ever done with my life.
Never, never underestimate the mother who's protecting her child. She will outfight fear. She will outlast danger. And she will outlove the world. And you surely do not mess with Mama Bear.
You can't push anything on our kids. We will stand up for our kids no matter what the consequences may be.
Moms for America is one of the most important organizations in saving our republic.
There are eyes, there are ears, and they're the most fierce fighters for our kids that we will ever know.
Every mission has two parts, those who give and those who do. And when we come together, we are stronger together in fulfilling that mission. An investment in Moms for America is an investment in the future. And we literally hold the future of America in our hands.
Garfield-Jaeger has been a licensed clinical social worker since the late 1990s. She's been featured in documentaries addressing gender confusion and has written a book, A Practical Response to Gender Distress. So we have Pamela on set. Welcome to the Mom View.
Welcome, Pamela.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. Boy, this is a hot topic, and every guest has so much to offer and to share. But yours is from a little bit of a different window, I should say. As a counselor, you never saw this gender distress, and if you did, it was considered a mental disorder. And then what happened? All of a sudden you came back, and you're like, wow, what has happened to the industry, huh?
Yeah. So like you said, I'm a social worker, which is even more extreme. The social workers are really embedded in this ideology, but only up until relatively recently.
Right.
So my career from the late 90s, I never even encountered this issue. I really never thought about it much, to be quite honest.
Because you didn't see it that much.
I didn't see it. I don't think I ever saw it. Maybe once, and I didn't treat it directly. It was just kind of in a group or something. I never treated that population. I worked with kids. I worked with families. I worked in schools. Even in the most left-leaning communities, I didn't see it. And so my story is I left my profession in 2016 because of a physical disability. So I was gone from the years 2016 through 2021. And when I came back to my profession in 2021, this is in California, half the girls in the program that I was treating were identifying as non-binary or trans or something else.
Incredible.
And then before you left, how many were considered trans?
She said none. She didn't see any.
I didn't see any.
You didn't see any.
We had one. Right?
I wasn't working in the same program, so I don't want. It's not exactly the same, but I was working in a high school in Palo Alto, California, a very left-leaning community. There was one girl, one senior in this high school that didn't identify as trans. That I wasn't working with her. I just knew of her.
And no boys? There were no boys?
No boys.
So why do you think there were so many suddenly, this epidemic of girls who were having this issue?
Well, there's a host of reasons. I mean, this is a social contagion. Yeah. So they've certainly, the kids have, are copying each other. There's a lot of influence online. It really exploded during the lockdown years because they were online more. Yeah. However, it was starting before that. So while I was on that disability, I think around 2018 is when things really started to shoot up, where kids were learning this on the internet. And also, I believe my profession had shifted. Yeah. A lot of the activists had taken over leadership roles and were training my colleagues to affirm, and they were trained to believe that they had to do this, otherwise these kids would kill themselves. So a lot of them were misguided and were encouraging this in families.
So when you did come back, it was almost like a, what happened to the world of counseling?
Oh,
what happened?
Return to space.
Right. and then not only did they say, hey, this is like a number one issue, but you must affirm, you must go this way now in counseling and helping the kids, right?
I thought I was in the Twilight Zone, for real. I really did. And when I first started talking about it publicly, people said I was so brave, and they couldn't believe I was just saying the obvious, that that this is not real, that these kids can't be trans, and that these are teenagers that are avoiding their real issues, and that this is harmful. People thought I was so brave. I didn't even understand that I was being brave, because all I was doing was saying what was normal just a couple of years before that.
You're saying that counselors were being trained to encourage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know. So when I first came back, I didn't know this. I didn't know how institutional this had become, that it was embedded in all of our institutions and within my profession. I couldn't understand why my colleagues were so scared to say anything, and they were shaming parents who were questioning it. And I just didn't understand. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. I was a clinical supervisor. I had been very well established in the field for many, many years, and I had just never seen any of this before.
And so then when you see what's happening, you start speaking up, you start investigating it, and how does that go?
Yeah, so my actual story is because I was in California and I chose not to get the COVID vaccine, they let me go before I could really speak up on the job. So because I had nothing left to lose, I started to speak online about it. I started to investigate. I started to go to trainings. I started to talk to people. And that's when, I learned just how widespread this is and, how crazy it is.
And in that process, where's the science in all of this? Does it even exist? Do they even talk about it?
It does not exist. They think it exists, so they'll lie about the science. They'll say the science is settled, kind of like how they said masks work to prevent COVID, but we know that there's no science behind that, similar science, So they have these studies that they say if you don't affirm a child, they will kill themselves. However, these studies are so bad, they do not prove anything. If you look at them closely, you don't have to even look that close. If you look at them at all, you'll see they have very, very small sample sizes. One even has like 11 participants. It's all self-guided surveys, so they're just answering questions that have leading questions. They have no control group, so they don't have a group where you have a group of kids who identify as trans and another group that identifies as trans, and one group you affirm, the other one you don't, and then compare the results. There's none of that. That doesn't exist anywhere. So there is no science.
Can you talk about the dangers of affirming a gender crisis when you have so many other issues? And I know you know this, and us as moms, every mom that we've talked to that has had a gender confused child says the gender was this issue. There was all of these issues. Either they were on the spectrum, they had anxiety, they had
abuse or trauma.
Right. They had all kinds of issues. So you're never, and we talked about this on the podcast, you're not addressing the main issue, you're addressing the peripheral, which is not the main issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, not only you're not addressing it, you're actually covering it up and making it worse. So the way I see trans or gender identity and all of that, I don't think any of that is real. What it is a symptom of another problem.
Correct.
So that's the way I see it. So when you're looking at a child that is identifying as trans, usually they're looking for something, they're looking for attention, or they're avoiding something. There's some other thing that they're covering up. So one of the main populations who are attracted to this are kids who have autism or on the autistic spectrum.
Right.
They struggle socially, and they're told, well, the reason you're different is because you're trans, and if you do this, then you'll fit in, and they get a lot of praise. They get flags, they get parades, and
they get a community.
They get a community.
Yeah.
And they get a sense of belonging that they never had because they really don't fit in very well. And they also have sensory issues. So it's easy to believe that you're trapped in the wrong body if you feel very uncomfortable in your body, especially as it's changing. If you don't like long hair because it's uncomfortable, like all of us here, we're wearing nice clothes and we're used to that. But someone who really has sensory issues, they can't handle being dressed up. There's things online that say if you like to wear fancy clothes, if you don't like to wear fancy clothes, you must be trans.
It's like we've gone back to high school and it's a popularity contest. You don't want to be the ostracized. You want to be the cool kid. And even the parents are buying into this. Some they're buying in because they're telling the lie, your child will commit suicide if you don't affirm them. The exact opposite is true.
Right.
But then there are still some parents out there who think, well, we just have to accept them because like you're going to choose what your gender is. And I can't figure out those parents. I really can't. I'm trying, but it just makes no sense. But then I start to think like your experience with this conference you went to. I think that has a lot to do with it's just flooding the country,
right.
and your whole entire system of the mental health industry has been corrupted, and that's what you found at this conference. So I'd love to hear your story about the conference.
Yeah, so I attended this conference in California, the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists. They're the biggest therapy organization in the state of California. I'm not sure, maybe in the entire country. It's very large,
right.
and they have very influential. Every year they have a conference where they do trainings. You get continuing education credits. So I went. I wanted to see what's going on the ground and expose it, quite frankly.
Good for you.
I didn't realize that actually it would be as bad as it really was. And I didn't know all of the players. So one of the luncheons that I attended was, I don't remember the title of it, but it was working with teenagers who have gender
dysphoria.
Gender dysphoria. I don't know. They had a whole. I should memorize the title because they're all so convoluted, these titles.
Right.
But it was with this woman named Dr. Joanna Olson Kennedy, and if you're following this topic, you know she's very infamous because she actually hid a multi-billion-dollar study funded by the NIH that didn't prove what she wanted to prove, because it was supposed to show that puberty blockers, if you give a child puberty blockers, that it improves their mental health. Well, it didn't prove that. So she actually hid that study, and she's under hot water, and she also has a lawsuit now against her. But that training was wild. I remember having serious nightmares after that.
Wow.
She taught me that puberty blockers are completely reversible, and that's also how they trick the parents. To answer your question, because they believe so much in science, and this science is not really science,
right?
And they believe in experts, they believe in institutions, they believe in academia, and all of these institutions have been lying, and I think people want to believe these lies. And so in that training with a doctor at the biggest therapy association and maybe the entire country, definitely in California, this doctor said that puberty blockers are completely reversible.
Can you believe this?
They said they're just as harmless as changing your outfit or getting a different haircut.
That's
she actually said that.
It makes me so mad to hear this stuff.
But my jaw just dropped.
You know what? That actually helps me better understand the parents who are like, oh, just let them decide, because if they're talking about like it's a change of an outfit, they're like it's just a fad. They'll go through it, or maybe they really were born in the wrong body, and I just somehow
I think parents are terrified.
The emperor's new clothes. The little child's got to shout. But I keep thinking about your experience. It's like you woke up in an alternate universe.
Oh, yes.
And we were able to watch it. I mean, it was still rapid speed here. But for you to leave the industry and come back and see in just 5 years how incredibly different everything was, like it flipped a switch.
Yes.
How did it just happen like that so fast?
I wish I knew, because I wasn't there.
You just knew it.
In retrospect, I've been studying it and looking at it, but I wasn't there in the moment, so I still fully don't understand. I don't understand how so many people can be fooled by these lies. All I can say is I think people believe in experts, and if they're told by an authority that this is what it is, then they listen and they follow and they don't question it. And therapists specifically are very agreeable, they're very gullible, they're very kind, they want to be liked, so they have the temperament, I believe, to be fooled even better than the wider population.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this too, because obviously the show is about, family courts, C.P.S, all of these situations that are now running the world here in all of our families. At a workshop, there was a leader was instructing therapists to call C.P.S services if the parents were not affirming. Tell us about that undercover situation.
It was the same conference, and I want to name her name. It was a woman named Linda Reeves. And just to say her name, she was proudly trained by WPATH, the World Association of Transgender Health. They are the leaders in this. They're under fire now, but most normal people who aren't following this don't realize that they're maybe the most perverted, twisted organization, but they're the ones that have infiltrated everything else. So she was there, and she's the one that taught that. She specifically taught me, because I was attending the class, and I even got credit for it, to call C.P.S if a parent doesn't affirm that they're dangerous. Also, in custody situations, you just spoke to a parent who had a custody situation. I was trained to favor the parent who affirms the child, to favor that parent. And if I didn't,
that's exactly what she was saying.
Yeah, so I was trained that in the training. And so you've got a group of people who think that she's an expert. They're there to learn, and they don't question it. And that's what the training taught. Again, jaw dropping when I learned these things.
What happens if you do question it?
Well, depending on what state you're in, you can get in a lot of trouble. So there are
you lose your license?
You can.
So it's a threat of your economy.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I think the biggest threat is the process, being ostracized, being reported by your colleagues, by other patients that you're treating, and losing your livelihood, losing your reputation. So there's what's called conversion therapy laws. And so they consider if you don't affirm a trans identity, then you are committing conversion therapy, which is really very Orwellian, because all you're doing is just helping someone be comfortable in their natural body. Yes.
Right.
What is your advice to the moms that are watching now that you've pulled the curtain back? What do we tell them? Because a lot of our moms, if it's not them, it's someone in their families being touched by this.
Yeah, so the first thing I love to tell parents is for you to trust your gut.
Yes.
And even when people are around you are saying you're crazy, if you know something is wrong like this, to trust yourself. And it's not going to be easy sometimes, depending on your environment, and even your own family might even go against you, but to trust yourself,
right.
Even when doctors and therapists tell you otherwise. Then my next thing is for you to question experts, question them hard. And because if you start asking just some very basic questions about, like, how do you know my child is trans? What is trans? What information do you have, and tell me about the side effects of puberty blockers, and tell me, just ask some more questions. If they're a true believer, they can't really answer these questions. So to be sure of yourself, and don't be intimidated by these experts that are trained to intimidate. That's also what I learned. They're trained to say, would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? They're threatening with emotional blackmail on these parents, loving parents who are lost because their child is struggling. These aren't the well-adjusted kids that get caught up in this. These are the families that are having struggles. They're having divorces. There's maybe some addiction in the family. Maybe there's some illness in the family. Something that they're preying on the vulnerable. They're preying on families. And so this is why you've got a parent that's already struggling. It's already feeling insecure. So I'm here, my voice has been really for those parents to recognize that this is not okay, and you can stand up for what you believe in.
It is psychological warfare.
It's very much
that is what I've been saying. It's the same thing that the communists did. It's like, they make your life miserable and threaten you with everything they can until you admit to something that you didn't do.
Exactly.
And these parents, I mean, they are stuck in a wormhole, really, of everybody's against them, and nobody really knows what to do about it. When you're in it, you're isolated. You have no help. Yeah. So what we need to do is somehow fix it from the outside before it gets to them on the inside. But none of us know what to do.
And we need to come alongside one another and help these moms. Can you tell us a little bit about your books there?
Yes.
Because we want answers. We want resources.
Yeah, that's exactly
where
it.
do we even start, right?
Right.
Finding help.
So when Jeannette she went through hers, and when other parents went through theirs, they were on their own. There was nothing. There were no resources. Now, happily, there are more. And this book, it really gives an overview of what's going on, so you can have the language and understand like the questions that you're asking me. How? What? I don't understand. What is happening? What is my child even thinking? I don't even know you're speaking alien to me.
It's shocking. Yeah.
So this explains a lot. It breaks it down. It explains that no one's born in the wrong body, and why it gives people the language when they're overwhelmed. It's hard to have that language because it's just so crazy. You don't even know where to start.
Well, this also would give them, parents, even with your younger children, to start having the discussion before the world steps in and tries to convince them they aren't who they are.
Right. Yeah, so that's Gender Distress. This is your book.
Yeah, and it has both what to do if your child gets caught up in it, and it also has ways to prevent it. So, for example, there's a whole chapter on the harms of pronouns, because even people that know that this is wrong, they don't always recognize that pronouns are harmful.
Right. How many pronouns do we have nowadays?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
160.
It keeps changing. That looked like a very interesting title to me.
So this is Froggy Girl. This is my latest book. It's about a little girl who wishes she was a frog. And everybody affirms her froggy identity, like her parents and her teacher. And she even gets a special flag in class.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But she goes and tries to do all the froggy things, and she can't do them very well. And she feels really sad and alone. And then she meets this adorable, wise turtle who teaches her that she is special and to appreciate that she's a beautiful little girl.
Oh, I love that.
That's exactly what we need.
Yes.
These solutions.
So this is a preventative. You can use it. It's obviously written for little kids. It rhymes. But you could use it with adolescents to sort of just play up the message from a very simple point of view.
Where can they get the books?
This can be found on FroggyGirlBook.com.
Okay.
This is just on Amazon, so you have to just Google the title, A Practical Response to Gender Distress.
Okay.
Also, I have a website, thetruthfultherapist.org, and the links to them are both on that website. I also want to say the art on here. It was done by a detransitioner. So this is done by a man who used to believe he was transgender and no longer does, and feels very comfortable in his body.
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
he said it was very special and therapeutic for him
That's
to
fantastic.
draw the art for this. And it's also, I think, why it resonates so well, because he really captured some of the emotions.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you, Pamela. Thank you again, and we'll have your website up for our moms so they can help. And you also say be careful on what therapists you have your
Yes.
kids go to. Do the investigation. Thank you for what you're doing. We so appreciate your voice.
Thank you.
All right, moms, we'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.
It's hard work being a mom today. So it is very important to have an organization that really cares about moms.
The role of parent is the most powerful position in the world because we've been entrusted with the souls of our future leaders. And if you're wondering how you could really wrap your mind around these principles and how you can put feet to your faith, I would definitely recommend that you find out more about, support, and get involved with Moms for America.
The Herzog Foundation exists to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education so that families and culture flourish. To do so, we've created comprehensive programs designed for Christian schools across the nation. One of those programs is found at readlion.com. The Lion carries news articles covering issues especially related to the education of children. These are timely, critical, must-read articles for families, educators, and leaders. Another program is the Herzog Foundation Institute, where we provide training for Christian educators led by national thought leaders in subjects such as marketing, donor development, and culture building. All training events are fully funded by the Herzog Foundation. And finally, with new Christian schools popping up all over the country, we've created a free online resource to help with the process. HF Schoolbox provides lessons and free mentorship to help launch groups navigate the startup process every step of the way. We're the Herzog Foundation. You can find out more at herzogfoundation.com.
There is power in being a mom because we truly care. Nobody's going to care more about your children than you, and that's what this group is about, is real women getting together to fight real battles for our country.
Moms for America is a national movement of moms reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution.
And I will tell you, I'm a journalist, but I am a mama bear. And I am a mama bear till the last breath in my body. And that's the most important thing I've ever done with my life.
Never, never underestimate the mother who's protecting her child. She will outfight fear. She will outlast danger. And she will outlove the world. And you surely do not mess with Mama Bear.
You can't push anything on our kids. We will stand up for our kids no matter what the consequences may be.
Moms for America is one of the most important organizations in saving our republic.
There are eyes, there are ears, and they're the most fierce fighters for our kids that we will ever know.
Every mission has two parts, those who give and those who do. And when we come together, we are stronger together in fulfilling that mission. An investment in Moms for America is an investment in the future. And we literally hold the future of America in our hands.
Well, another very insightful conversation. These two moms are just amazing. I want to just say that Jeannette, again, everyone remember about the Partners for Ethical Care. I think she has some incredible information for moms that are going through the exact situation with their child being removed from their home from loving parents because they're told they're unsafe. So please check out her information. I thought that was phenomenal. What about this book?
Oh my gosh, this book is absolutely amazing. This is exactly what we need to be reading in our homes. I keep telling parents you need to read The Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah.
You need to read 100 times a week so that when your children are faced with a lie, they'll recognize it and have the courage to stand up. But even when they don't, we can stand up for them if they'll just come and tell us. So I just, okay, it's so cute. It's so cute.
So this is Pamela's book she just mentioned, yes?
There once was a girl who said she was a frog, not a chicken, cow, cat, or dog. She knew how to hop. So it must be true. Being a frog seemed right. So what else could she do? Her parents even gave her frog feet, which she thought were very neat. Her teacher gave her a special flag, and the girl was so glad. Her friends thought it was strange, but they wanted to be nice, even if it meant there would be a price. She tried to make frog sounds, but that was hard. She went swimming with the other frogs and didn't get very far. The girl began to doubt. All agreed she was a frog, so she couldn't back out.
Yeah.
They all had agreed that she was a frog. This is what they do. How can you back up, right? This is so good for our kids. She felt sad and alone because she couldn't catch a fly. That's when she realized she might be living a lie.
Oh.
In a state of confusion, she went for a walk, wishing for a friend with whom she could talk. When she reached the river, she met a wise turtle with a great bumpy shell. He said, "You can't be a frog, no matter how many people you tell." He reminded her that it is wonderful to be a girl. She can sing and dance and even do a twirl. The little girl learned to love the way God made her, beautiful and smart and full of fervor.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that awesome? But that part
That
where
is it.
everybody had already affirmed her, everybody had agreed. So how can you go back? That's something we need to help kids be able to navigate.
Great story. I mean, this is what we have to be talking about. Vanessa?
Yeah, and we all have to be very cognizant in what our kids are doing with their electronics, right? The smartphones are not babysitters.
Right.
And sometimes we just sit back and we, we're okay with them being in the room all day long. And social media, it's a very bad enemy, and they're being indoctrinated under a roof. So they're in that bedroom. So we have to pay more attention and make sure that we're talking to our kids and making sure that we're monitoring what they're watching and who they're following.
And we're not immune. It was brought up earlier that, the mom wondered, did I do the right thing? And you don't know. I have 8 children. And of 8 of them, 7 of them are, very like-minded with me. And 1 of them is not. And they were all homeschooled. They're all from a good, God-fearing
mom and
Christian
dad,
family.
same
Absolutely.
family, right.
And she started with YouTubers. And then she went on TikTok. And she believes all of this stuff, and she thinks that I'm just incompassionate. And it's really, really hard when it's your own family. It's devastating. And I know all these moms who are dealing with this. It literally is life crushing.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep hoping and praying, but planting little seeds like this, and what you bring up about social media, shut it off.
Yeah.
For crying out loud. We should be at
Take
least
it
as
back.
much of an influence in our children's lives as the world. Do they really need a phone?
Right. Yeah.
I
Take
don't
it back.
think so.
I'll tell you, this is it. The kids that are being raised in this new generation, the moms that are having babies now, you got to buckle up for a whole new world, and you got to figure it out. But times are tough, and you got to just really come in and set those lines and those guidelines, because otherwise the world will be raising your child. So again, I do want to remind everyone to check out momsforamerica.us. We have all of the information and helping moms raise their kids. That's what we're here to do. Vanessa, Kimberly, and I, we're all here on the same journey.
I was going to say, it's so sad that nowadays you see a stroller and you see an iPad with it or a tablet, right? So you have 1-year-olds with a tablet. And that's a problem, because that's how you start.
I like the whole buckle up. We're in a different world.
Get your coloring books out.
Yeah.
Get your action figures.
Start reading books.
Get the jump ropes out and the chalk, and just take back your kids. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on The Mom View. Again, check us out on themomview.com. We're so glad that you were with us on the couch here today, and we will see you again next week.